Hey everybody, welcome to Houdini Hangout. It's the 15th of March. Hope you guys are having a good, halfway through the month. We're going to be doing some random stuff tonight. I've got a week in between, we got some time in between travel. Last week I was a little bit out of it still, hadn't really completely gotten back to the old Eastern time zone. So we've got a week here before GDC is next week, which I'll be heading off to. And so we're just looking to maybe just do something random this week, just to, have something interesting to do. We've got Mardini going on this month, and that's some of you I've seen posting out there and, putting different, daily renders up on the internet. So congrats to all of you that have done every day so far. That's obviously a big challenge. I did not do it last year all the way. I did it some of the days, as many as I could, but the year before I did all of them. And that was quite the I don't know the word to even use. It was just really tiring. So yeah, big props to anybody that's in the middle of it and have done every day so far. It's really obviously quite impressive to see people doing that. And even if you haven't done every day, but have done a lot of them or have done some of them or even have done one, good job. Way to go. It's hard regardless. So just to bring any of you up to speed, maybe that aren't in the know on what Mardini is, let's take a look at the at what it actually is and let's see here. Pull this up. So if we go to the website here, we got the art challenge here. You can check out all the winners right there, and we can see different weeks. There'll be highlights from it, different people that are how many people have gotten points for each win and all that different things. So that's kind of cool to see your name up there. Bunch of daily winners, lots of cool stuff to look at. I think obviously doing animations are really tough as far as like time wise. And it's amazing to see what even some stills people can come up with in a day. It's like absolutely mind boggling. So really cool stuff. I recognize some of the names on here. So nice job to everybody who's submitting every day and picking stuff. And it's everybody's who's gotten picked is awesome. And so just, congrats to everybody. But today, let's take a look at what the prompt is here. It is leap. We are on the 15th, so that should be leap. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like I'm a little unsure. I feel like I want to do something maybe with like a shoe, maybe like I've seen so many of these animations of like shoes and things like that, like product visualizations, and having like it, this stuff like inflate around it and everything. And I think it'd be fun to show it like something blow up underneath it, whether it's the sole or whatever, something in it, and have it like leap off from that. I think that could be kind of fun to do. I don't know. That's just kind of my thought off the top of my head. But we'll see kind of where we get with all of this. Tonight's going to be a little bit less structured than some of the more recent ones, but hopefully you'll still enjoy just chatting and being here. And if you guys have any suggestions or any thoughts, or I'm doing something really dumb or whatever, you think there's a much better way of doing it, please always feel free to drop your comments into the chat. I love, hearing back from people and, getting feedback on what I'm doing that should be better or whatever. So that's always helpful for me personally. and hopefully it makes the stream better as a whole. And if you're thinking of, a question or whatever, always ask that. There's no stupid questions. And I'll try to do my best to answer them if I can. However, I might not have the answer, but I'll try to run it down for you. And if you are interested in connecting at all, you can go to HoudiniHangout.com, join the Discord server there, ask for help, have suggestions for streams, things like that. That would be obviously a welcome thing to have people on there, having conversations and things like that. That's kind of the whole point. So, if you want to join that, there's a free invite on there as well. Don't have to pay for a Patreon or any of that kind of stuff, but, we're just kind of doing things pretty chill here. So, so that's, I think, what we're going to do tonight. We're going to do some Mardini stuff. We're going to do the prompt leap. And if you have any thoughts on what we should do or have any suggestions, drop them in chat. I'll be monitoring that and seeing what people say. And maybe if you have a better idea or a suggestion or whatever, maybe we'll pivot and change to something different. But so I think that's what we're going to do. So I guess let's just jump in and do some Houdini, and we'll get rolling. All right. Well, I guess the first thing that I should do is maybe find some sort of geometry to start with. So what I think I'm going to do is just, I'm just going to go to Turbo Squid, because I'm not going to submit this or anything. Actually, you know what? I wonder if I could actually go to, what is it? Polyhaven? Do they have? I think they have some models and things like that. Let's see if we can't find something. Should have probably looked this stuff up ahead of time, but whatever. Here we are. Models. Do we have a shoe? I wonder if they have a shoe in here. Nothing. Cool. All right. That's all right. Let's just see if we can find some sort of really simple shoe here. Don't need anything crazy. Obviously, we're going to go with something free. Yeah. That looks like that could do. Got some soles on there. Let's take a look at this guy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll do. That will do. All right, let's do this guy. I'm just looking at the pieces and things like that here. Let me just log in. Yeah. Geez, of course. All right. I'll just talk for a second here while this is going, and we'll take a short break from the screen so I can get this figured out. I don't know why my login is mad at me, because apparently I haven't logged in a little bit yet. But we'll do this, get some geometry, and then we'll be good from there. All right, let's try that again. Shoe price free. There we go. Download. All right, I'm going to get this, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. And we'll see what we have to do here. This could be interesting. Might have some geometry to clean up and stuff like that. So we'll take a look at this. All right, we've got an FBX to work with here. Great. All right, so we've got this shoes.fbx. So let's do this. Let's grab a geo. We'll drop that down. We'll call this import shoe. let's try this. Let's try to do the labs importer. See how this works. Might work, might not. We'll see. See how the this works. Oh yeah, that's great. Looking good. Okay, so we got some shoes here. That is looking good. All right, yeah, great. So let's just pull one of these out. So we'll just maybe select this guy here. And we'll just do one of those. Oops. Delete the non-selected one. Cool. Just pull this back over here so I can see if anybody's messaging me. All right. So let's do a match. Oops. Match size. And this is going to center it. We'll also put it the minimum to the floor so that that'll be actually sitting on the floor, which should be good. Cool. A little funky, but not too bad. Cool. Let's do a little transform in between here instead, and just kind of move this a little bit here. What I'm going to do is move this to the centroid, and then I can actually control this a little better. I'm just going to rotate this down a little bit so it's sitting on the... Oh, geez, I did it again. Sorry, guys. Oh, sorry. Switched over and forgot to switch back. There we go. So I imported this FBX import here. I don't know what it is. After I took a little vacation there, my brain is not sharp. Sorry about that. Okay, cool. So we've got this FBX import, blasting one half of it here. Nice and simple. Transforming it a little bit. And then we're going to match size, bring it to the centroid. Thanks for the heads up. Maybe one of these days I'll realize what I'm doing. Cool. All right, there we go. Looking good. Let's see. We'll just kind of move this a little bit so that it's kind of sitting on the ground here properly. Cool. All right. Nice. All right, so we got a shoe. So maybe what we'll do is, let's think about this. What we can do is pull out some of these elements here. So maybe what we'll do is make this sole like inflate or something like that and have it like pop it up off the ground or something to that effect. So, sorry, just noticing something on my screen. All right, so let's do this. Let's just try to isolate this element down here at the bottom first of all. Just want to see what we actually have here. I think we're going to have probably just these material paths, if I'm guessing correctly. How long are these? Pretty long. All has the same material on it, so that's not going to help us. Okay. Any other attributes here that we could use? No, it doesn't look like it. All right, that's fine. So let's do this. Let's do it via, let's do a connectivity and see what that gives us. Let's also maybe do an attribute delete. We'll get rid of some of these like things on here for right now. We can just do this temporarily so we can see it a little bit better. I'm just gonna say remove temp color, and we'll hit C and just add some color here so I know that there's something going on different there. All right, so let's do this. We've got class set up. We can also visualize that. So let's hit I, visualize that. Okay, cool. There we go. That'll do what we needed to. It's showing all of our connected geometry. Great. So let's just take a look at this. Let's just do a split, and we'll take a look at just what this bottom section is here. So let's pull this up, and we'll just do attributes, points, attributes class, and then try that again. I don't know why that wasn't working. There we go. All right, so now we're selecting in point mode, so this will work. So let me just, actually, you know what? I don't want to do this selection in point mode. Let's change this. We'll have this be in primitive mode, and now we'll do this selection as such. So let's go to primitives. We'll do match selection type. Hit 4. Hello? 4. And do attributes class. There we go. It's a little cleaner to select it like this. Cool. Okay. That's great. We'll just say, just look at this here. So this is going to be the sole. This is going to be the rest of the shoe. Are these actually closed or not? Hard to see there. No, they don't look like they're closed. Interesting. So what we could probably do here is, I wonder if we could do a, just curious if this would work. No. All right, let's try something else here. So I just kind of want to make a convex hull for this, right? Because these can all live together. It's not really a problem. So let's just see what's going to happen when we do a polyfill here. See if that seals any of this stuff up. It does, but not our purple section there. Let's take a look at that actually real quick. I'm just going to blast to just look at just that section there. So let's do group. We'll select just this. All right, this is actually a sealed piece of geometry. So that's interesting. So that's all one continuous piece. So let's do this. Let's do a shrink wrap. Let's see what that's going to look like. Yeah, that'll be fine. It's not going to be the best thing in the world, but that will work for everything else here, I think, on the top part of this. So what we could do is we'll shrink wrap this, and that's going to be kind of our geometry. We can just do a remesh of that, maybe just to clean it up a little bit so it's not so weird, like how many whatever polys it is there. Yeah, it's another thing, scale here. This is a bit large, so let's do this. Before we get into that, let's do a transform down here. 0.01. Cool. Okay, so that's much better. Maybe it's even 0.1. Nope, that's too big. Let's just see what's a good size for a shoe. Not gonna be, it's gonna be about like 1/3 of a meter, right? So yeah, it's still too big. Okay, 0.01 I guess is going to be our setup. Let's see what that gets us. Yeah, about 1/4 of a meter. Sure, sounds good. Let's reduce the size of this a little bit. On the remesh, we'll see what we kind of get to here. Yeah, maybe something like that. All right, so what I'm going to do is basically have two pieces of geometry that I'm going to feed into this simulation, right? So I've got this like sole here, and then I've got this upper part here. So if I do a merge, like that, we should be good. All right, let's do this. Let's just kind of clean some stuff up here. Let's actually try it maybe like that. That's probably a slightly better resolution. I'm not sure how this is going to work per se, but we'll give it a shot. I'm not sure if this quads is going to be the best way to go. I can never remember that with like vellum and stuff like that, if that's the best. But let's just add some groups here because we'll be able to use those to work to our advantage. So let's just call this sole. We'll call this, I don't know. Pressing A just to help reorganize this network if you're not familiar with that. All right, so let's just call this, I don't know. Call it something like that. Cool. So there's our rudimentary shoe. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to, the sole will just keep the way it is, but then we'll have these elements be kind of manipulated by this part of the shoe. But anyways, first of all, what I'm going to do before I actually even merge these together, I'm just going to do a vellum. Let's do, yeah, let's do a balloon. That's what we want. So let's do that. So we've got our cloth outer here. This is going to be our constraints for the pressure. Just see if there's any settings here for that. Nope, that looks good. Let's see where that gets us. So let's do a vellum solver. Just going to set the substeps to 2 just to give us a little bit more control. Oh, yeah, guess we need a ground position, huh? Just going to go right through the ground. Super exciting so far. Falls flat on the ground. Cool. All right, let's do this. Let's get some more pressure in here. See what happens if we up that pressure. Nothing too much. Let's do that. Oh, that's funny. Let me just give this a couple more substeps to make sure that that's not the problem that we're running into here. All right. Instead of doing this sole like that, let's just also do a remesh on this as well, just to see if that gives us any better control over this. Ooh, interesting. Got some bad, unhappy primitives there. Or is that just my normals? Yeah, it's probably just my normals. Well, I definitely just freaked it out because I went to target size of 0. Gotta love that. All right. Not bad. All right. Should just type in here. How about that? Let me just make sure that this isn't actually giving me bad polys. No, it is definitely giving me some weird polygons, isn't it? me just check if that's a viewport issue. Nope. Weird. Let me just see if this helps at all. Nope. Well, let's see if that'll work. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We'll see. All right, so we've got our cloth there. We've got our pressure here. Let's throw that in there and see if that's any better. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to up the stiffness of the exterior of it, right? Because right now what's happening is there's some pressure inside of it. It's kind of flying around. Let's up the outside stiffness just a little bit so that we can hopefully keep this shape a little bit better. And there we go. We have the shape a little better. All right, so let's bring this down. I think it started at 100. Let's just see where that gets us. Okay. So let's bring this up maybe a little bit more. Oops. Okay, so we have the pressure going here. Let's push that a little higher. See where that gets us. So it's just going to be a little bit of tweaking here. I don't really know what these settings should be, so we're just going to have to kind of play around with them a little bit in order to make them do something that we want them to. So let's go back here. All right, you know what? I'm actually thinking instead of doing this version, let's try let's do the vellum configure. Let's do the tet soft body. This is going to be a little bit more this is going to be a little bit more of a solid thing, and we don't have to maybe worry about so much of the inner pressure and things like that. So let's see how this actually works. I have a feeling, oops, jumped up by accident there. Let's just cut this, shift click those, drop them in here. All right, so what it has to do actually is make tetrahedrons out of this. So there's actually tetrahedrons now inside of this. So from here, we're going to have a tetrahedral stretch calculation. And what I could actually do in order to, yeah, that's perfect. That's actually what I wanted. Let's see, this should just be soft now. This should just be a spongy kind of thing. Yep, cool. And then what we could do from there is if we change the rest length of this, let's just say it's like 1.5. Let's see, that might get crazy, but let's give it a shot. Yep. So that is something that we could do. Although it is kind of just making it all bigger, which isn't maybe what we want per se. Because if I do this, it's just going to kind of all enlarge as one big piece. Kind of fun, but it's a little too uniform maybe. So let's try one more thing. Just move this out of here. Cut that. Let's try, oh, I should have done vellum configure. Let's try the strut soft body instead. Let's give that a shot. Kind of just playing this as best I can here. See what kind of works. The this is going to be really similar to the way that the balloon one was, but it's going to be hopefully a little bit stiffer, harder to deform here. So okay, we've got that. It's looking kind of similar. Let's look at these struts. See if we put this up to 100. Okay, that's looking good. Let's see. What if we go really crazy with this, just out of curiosity? See if this will actually push it out or not. Might not. Let's just take a look. Nope. All right. So what if I did, instead of that, what if I did, just want to make sure this is at a good spot before I start playing with the other things. Let's just check out this. Yep. Great. So what I'm going to try to do now is change the rest length scale just to see if that gives us a little more of that like puffy look that we're going for. Sure enough, it is. So that's good. So if we do 2, oh yeah, cool. Now why that's sliding, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. So what we could do is, let's go real crazy and just see what happens here. Should really, whoa, yep, lift off. Okay. Maybe too much, but interesting nonetheless. Okay. All right, so I'm kind of like waffling back and forth between these options. I don't think the conform is going to be our best bet, so we're going to get rid of that. Let me just try that balloon again. Thanks, computer. Thank you for that. So how's everybody out there doing? Hopefully if you're doing some Mardini stuff and just got me on in the background, hopefully everything's going well for you. You know, let me know. Let me know what you guys are up to, how things are going. If you guys have any questions, comments, any of that kind of stuff, please feel free to put them in the chat. If I'm doing something really stupid here that I'm just screwing myself up with, let me know. You know, I'm always open to criticisms and comments. So cool. All right, let's try this one more time because I really think that this actually might be our best bet. But I feel like it's going to look a little bit more balloon-like. All right, so yeah, so how's it going, Chester? Or Chester, I guess. Yeah, I'm just doing like today's is like leap. So I think I'm going to have this shoe kind of like leap up in the air from it like inflating basically. So that's my idea. I don't know. It's kind of, maybe it's stupid. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of something here to do. So I have this little shoe model going here. Nope. Where is it? Oh, right. I think if we look here, there we go. There it is. So there's our little shoe model. It's nothing fancy, but it'll do the job. And so I'm just going to do some simulation here and then have it, you know, basically deform that geometry from the simulation geometry. So let me actually try one other thing here. Maybe if we do this, maybe that'll actually be a little bit better for us. Not so much geometry. Cool. All right, so if we do this, okay, then what if we do this? Yeah, it's actually kind of the same the same look that we've got going on here, so that's fine. Okay, cool. Maybe this is my problem. Max strut length. No, that's good. Yeah, these are basically the exact same type of setup here. So okay, cool. So I think we're gonna go with this. Oh, wait a second. That's interesting. I think I went with the wrong one actually there. Duh. I didn't do a balloon. I did a different one. All right, let's try this one more time. Let's maybe do something like that instead. 10,000? Just curious how this is going to work if we... Okay, the rest length is not doing anything for us there. If we reduce it. Nope. Okay, cool. Okay, now we're getting something here. Let's do 5 there, see if that changes anything. There we go. The other thing that we might need to do here is calculate a uniform density. Maybe this is too heavy. Let's check this out. Yeah, could very well be it. So let's do that. So what that's doing is that's actually calculating the mass of each of these points, right? Because ultimately this is a point-based simulation, right? So if we have these points that are going to be, you know, that are going to weigh, you know, X amount or whatever, you know, the heavier we make them, the less this is going to puff up like, you know, like a balloon. So let's just play around with this weight a little bit and see what we can get here. Probably should be pretty light if we want it to act like a balloon. Yep. And let's just take a look at the thickness of this too to make sure we're not getting anything weird. No, that looks good. Cool. Okay. Getting somewhere. Let's just check and see what happens if we up that. Yep. Cool. All right, let's give this a little more weight. Let's double that up. Maybe we'll set this to 5. Okay, cool. So, all right, instead of doing that, let's see if we can find just like a happy medium, because I know this is going to blow up now, so that's good. And let's see if we can't set this. I'm going to control middle click on that just to set it back to its defaults. Let's get this kind of back to a happy rest state where it's smushy, but it's not too smushy. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Let's just try 10,000 just for fun. Sure. Okay, so now we have this set up where we're going to have, so we have this group with the sole, and we have this other group with kind of the top part of the shoe. So let's do this. We're going to start now. Let's work on both of them. So we're just kind of isolating the one there at the moment. So now we have both of these coming in. We have shoe pieces and sole. So now let's have this affect just the group sole, and this one also will affect just the group sole. So now we have those two pieces coming in. The other part shouldn't do anything. It just kind of, yeah, doesn't really know what to do at these points because they don't really have any real anything to them yet. So let's do this. Let's have those. Let's actually have those. Let's do the vellum configure. Let's do the strut soft body, I guess. We'll do that. So let's throw this in here. Make sure we have these connected together. Now the collider doesn't. Okay, the collider doesn't matter too much. Really, the other ones are what are important. So this is going. Let's just call these a couple different things. So we're going to say soft body cloth, body struts, balloon cloth, balloon struts. Cool. All right, so what we can do with that is, yep, those will all be tagged with these different names of the nodes. So that's going to be helpful. We'll have tags on all of these. If we look at our constraint geometry, we'll have these tags. So soft body cloth, soft body struts, you know, that type of thing. So we'll have those constraint tags on there, and that'll help us be able to make sure, you know, we know what we're using, you know, how that's set up in our simulation. So for this, we'll take the shoe pieces, and for this, we'll take the shoe pieces as well. So now we should have two separate parts of this simulation. They should both sort of do something. Now, looks like we have some interpenetration there, which isn't great, but it should be okay because this top part shouldn't collapse quite that much. So let's do this. We'll calculate the uniform of that. Let's maybe make that a little bit. Let's make it close and dense. Let's just try it at the same density. See where that gets us. Yeah, not bad. It's a little too floppy. So let's just adjust those struts inside here. Those are only at a stiffness of 10. So let's go pretty heavy with that. We don't need it to really, we don't need it to deform as much as it did. So let's just reset this did I not up that? I might not have. No, I did. 10,000. Let's try 100,000. Yep, cool. Kind of odd. Let's now try just this side actually. And we can take these out of here. Let's just see if this will try to just sim this on its own. See if we can get this set up properly as well. Not sure why that's not resetting this whole thing. Actually, you know what? Is this like, yep. There's the answer. It's not connected. It's like there seems to be something really odd going on here because this isn't updating it. And there's our answer because it wasn't connected in. Yep. Okay. Now we're good. Sometimes it's a... I'm not sure what you were laughing at, Chester, but I'll take it. Yes, sometimes there's some silly things going on here. All right, let's see if we've got this going. Cool. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay, so we've got this top part. Let's actually see if we can bring this down a little bit because that might be too high. No wonder it wasn't resetting my cached frames and was just collapsing in general. That makes way more sense now. Also, let me just tweak this remesh here because could have a couple more iterations here and maybe smooth this out a little bit cleaner. Didn't like how concentrated some of those points were there. Cool. Now these aren't actually connected together yet, so let's do that. So let's do a constraints. We'll do vellum constraints here. This will allow us to be able to glue those together. I always forget which one's which, but I think glue is the one we want. Let's do glue. And that should be between these two pieces here. We can see that they are, there's some connections here. And what we could probably check that pretty easily with, just add a couple extra constraints per point here just to make sure it's nice and glued together. I think that'll be good. And let's just check that out now too. Yeah, now it's kind of all existing as one. So let's, instead of this, let's just try to go kind of crazy with this and see what happens if we... Nope, actually we need to adjust the rest length scale, I think, was what the answer was. Let's just double check that. What? That's it? That's all that we're getting? Let's see if we can't get some more out of that. There we go. Cool. Let's see if we can up the stiffness of that as well. There we go. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Some crazy bouncing of this shoe. Okay. Well, it's stuck together, so good news. In fact, it's looking real crazy when we do that, but that's okay. Okay, well, it's working at least, so that's cool. Probably that's too stiff, so let's come back to this and see if that works a little better. Yeah, that's not too bad. Let's bring it down to 10,000. think we'll do it this way. Let's double check that that's going to rest nicely. Yeah, cool. All right, cool. So we've got this shoe going here, and let's now have this animate right across. So we want it to animate in such a way that it'll expand maybe from back to front. Maybe let's do that first of all. So we're going to need to figure out a way to make that work, right? So we can actually have those animate through those constraints, right? So what we have here is we have our vellum solver, and what it's going to say for us to do is use the vellum constraint properties to update constraints dynamically. So we could have them start one way and then at a certain frame have them, animate separately. However, we want to do it dynamically a little differently than that. Because so if we do vellum constraint properties here and wire that in, that is that's going to be how we would actually edit this vellum object constraint geometry here, right? So this is the constraint geometry that we would need to edit, right? So instead of just doing this kind of globally, here you can see the constraint geometry is the one that we're working on. Instead of doing it that way, what we're going to do is I think a good way of doing this would be doing a wrangle here. Geometry wrangle. Now you could do this a couple other ways too. You could probably do a VOP. Although I don't know if that's, yeah, that would work as well. So you could just do it in VOPs if you wanted to. You could do it in wrangle. I think a wrangle is going to be easier because we're not going to have too much code to write in there. So that should be pretty straightforward, hopefully. So let's first set up our constraints to have the attributes that we need to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a null down here and just look at these constraints here just so we can see what exactly we've got going on. So we've got all these different constraints here. Do we have a visualizer on that's making those colored? Yeah, something's being visualized. I'm not sure what. Okay, so we have all of these different constraints, and what we want to do is look at the maybe let's look at the constraint tag here, and that'll help us kind of visualize this. So let's turn this on. We're going to go in and add this constraint tag, and what we can do is just color it maybe random from attribute. Let's see if that'll work. It's strange that that's actually not doing anything. Okay, so that's all right. So what we're going to do instead of worrying about visualizing it, so what we want to edit is the soft body, no, the balloon. Where is it? Balloon, not cloth. We want to find the balloon struts. Where are they? Are they just one primitive? I can never remember how that works exactly. Yep, I think they're just one primitive, huh? There we go. Balloon struts, one primitive. All right, so what we're going to do, let's just change this to glue pieces. That'll update this so it's not just some random constraints thing. So we just need to use this on the balloon struts here. And these are a pressure constraint. That's interesting. Because what I was thinking we would do is have it randomly change pressure across it. So maybe that isn't going to be our best bet, because in this case, we only have one for that. Now, when we have our soft body struts, you know, this is live stuff. So I'm realizing what I'm doing wrong on the fly here. So when we actually look at the struts, let's look at that one specifically. Soft body struts. So when we look at this one, these are actually a whole bunch of different primitives. So we can actually inflate these over time. We could actually make those rest lengths larger over time. Whereas with one single strut for the balloons, while they look like a bunch of different pieces, when we turn on this, it's literally just one primitive. And so I don't think there is any way to actually do this, because all of the points aren't holding the information the primitives are. So again, I have to kind of go back here and redo some stuff. So let's do this. Vellum configure. We'll just do two of the same things. We'll do another strut soft body. Just call it good. So this is going to be sole cloth. Cool. Okay. So we've got that. They should still be glued together. That's not an issue. It's probably going to collapse right to the ground at first, which is fine. Oh, no, not too bad. Not too bad. All right, let's just kind of make sure that we're working with relatively similar everything here. Let's calculate uniform again. We'll set this to about 5. Yeah, fine. Oh, there we go. We're about in the same ballpark. And let's just check this out. This is the sole struts. So let's set this to 10 and just see what happens here. Well, that definitely exploded. Let's set it to 2 instead. It's interesting that the top cloth is getting adjusted. Oh, you know what? That's probably why. Let's let the sole cloth stretch a little bit, because we're not letting it stretch at all. So let's do this. Give the sole struts a little bit more. In fact, that top cloth isn't allowed to stretch either. So let's give that a little bit of stretch as well. Just up these a little bit, see if we need a little more weight to these. Just getting invisible forces throwing this around now. That's cool. Okay. Let's go a little higher with these and see if this doesn't cause any issues. Okay, not bad. Let's do 5 on that. And let's up this a little more. Hoo-hoo, yeah. Cool. Absolute craziness. Man. Okay. Well, instead of this, let's try something a little different here. So, this is not working super great. So instead of trying to do... Oh. I know why that's not working super great, because I didn't adjust this. Soul. Group. Soul. It's still not working great, but at least it makes more sense what it's doing, why it's not stretching the whole thing out. All right. That makes sense why the whole thing isn't blowing up now. Hey, okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Glad I thought about that for an extra second. All right. Why do we got so crazy friction here? Can I bring that up? Is that going to help us out here? Let's see. Okay. Well, now we're actually getting somewhere. So this is at least a little better. We can maybe figure out the friction issue in a second here. Maybe it's just a couple more sub-steps. Maybe that's what we need. Yeah, maybe that's all it is. Cool. All right, let's just leave that as it is. Cool. All right, back to what we were working on. So let's do this now. Let's take this. We're going to take our, we're going to take all of our constraints here, and we're going to just expand the ones that we want to kind of over time horizontally. So if we take a look at this again, take a look at just the ones that we want, which are going to be the soul struts. those are the ones that we want to kind of inflate over time. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to just do a little edit on this. And what we can do here is a float. We'll do actually, instead of a float, we'll do an int attribute adjust integer. This is going to create a start frame for us. I like to work this way just because we can use this start frame to kind of do what we want to with our animations, basically. So, so we can actually use the start frame to start changing some values within our simulation. So let's say set start frame there. And what we'll do is instead of constant, we'll do a line. We'll set this like so. Where's the other side of it? Way over there. All right, so there we go. We've got our start frame line set up here. Let's do the first frame at 24. I don't know, the last one at 36 just for right now. And so now these should all have, we'll not do it at a point, we'll do it at a primitive level. So now we should have a start frame here. If we visualize that, we will see that we have start frames going along it as thus. And we're going to do this on the group. Okay, so we are going to do this on a couple groups here, but we need to set up our groups. So this is going to be our soul. Let's do the output group here to be soul strut. And this, we can output the group to be yep, that should actually be all we need. Just that one group. So if we do this over group, if I can type, soul strut, that should just set it to those. So now we have a start frame on all of those, and default value will set to -1 for everything else, just so that it won't do anything to those just in case. We'll probably just run this on the soul struts anyways, but that's fine. Okay, cool. So there's all of our soul struts. Those have now this attribute set on it. You can look, if we were to change this, you'll see that it's going to stretch it either way. So this is kind of a neat way to do effects like this that are going to be maybe linear or whatever. So so that's going to work just fine. Let's take a look at, let's just set a duration on these as well. So instead, let's say integer, and let's just call this duration. We can just do that as a constant value, and maybe we'll have it inflate for, I don't know, 10 frames. So that sounds good. We'll set this as a primitive attribute. Now we have our duration here. So pretty much we're going to have our start frame and then our duration, and then we can calculate our end frame for that inflation from that. So what we could do is have maybe some sort of a little ramp that'll say how this inflation will go from that start frame over time and go from there. So let's pipe this back into our constraint geometry here. So now we have those attributes on our constraint geometry. We're going to come into here and do a geo wrangle. And so this, instead of it being on geometry, we're going to have it go on to constraint geometry. What if I can do this? Well, I could, I guess. Don't need all that. Okay, cool. So that's the geometry we're going to work on. That should be good. I don't think there's anything else we're going to need there. Let's just see if we could first drive this in some sort of an animated way. So let's change the rest length scale here to 1. Just double check that this is all working still. Yep, looking good. Got our smushy kind of thing going on there. Great. All right, so let's jump in here and just say, let's say float. We'll say strut scale equals, and we're going to do, let's just do something. I think we can do a fit function here, and we'll take in the current frame, and we'll fit that between the, let's see, we'll do at, what's the name of this one here? We're going to say, oh, it's not going to show up there. What do we call that again? That is going to be the start frame. We also have duration. Okay, so we'll just say at start frame, and then we'll do at, we'll just say start frame +1. Then we'll say the rest length is 1, and we'll have it go to, I don't know, 10, something to really see it happen here. So that's going to set our strut scale. And then from there, we should be able to set the rest length here. We'll multiply it by strut scale. So we'll say here at rest length, say f at rest length times equals strut scale. And let's try that, see how that works. Hopefully that will animate for us. So when it gets to 24, we should start seeing this thing fire up. So let's see. Nope. Okay. Let me see. Let's do constraint. I just want to see how this is set up here. So constraint geometry. Guess I'll set this up the same way. See if that does anything better. In fact, what I'm going to do is come back up here and set the start frame to be a little sooner. We'll do 6 and 12. So we don't have to wait so long for it to simulate. Ah. Be nice if I did it over primitives, huh? Let's see if that works any better. Well, that definitely did something. As opposed to not doing something. Okay, let's just try that instead. Nope. Nope. All right. So let's just do this. Times 10. We'll just say 10 to begin with. See where that gets us. Oh, right. I'm doing all of the rest lengths again. Duh. All right, so we're going to say... What is the name of that one again? Soul strut. Guess it wasn't that. This is interesting. I don't know why it's causing such an issue to just be updating that. Don't have anything typed wrong. Let's just do this. No, that's not going to work because that is going to... Okay. Right. So it's going to double at every frame, which is going to kind of be a runaway thing. All right, let me think about that. So... Just leave that for a second. Let's just do this. If what is the name of that? Let's say if at frame equals at start frame It's interesting. It's giving me a an error that there is no soul strut group. It's really odd. Why is there no soul strut group? Okay. Instead of this, maybe what we can do is I just remembered that there is actually a expression on here that we could do down at the bottom, which is exciting because what we can do is use this to get our rest length scale, which is called rest scale. I believe what we can do is write of expression in here. Yep. So what we can say is, let's try that same code here. If at frame equals at start frame, say rest scale. Let's just say that rest scale times equals 2. Give it a shot. Just make it a little bigger. See if we can see anything here. Okay. Well, we got it working now. That's kind of cool. Where's my start frames? There we go. Oh, you know what? I also can do this group here. Set this just to sole strut so it doesn't have to probably calculate on all of it. Let's see what happens here. It's weird, it was just working. I saw it work. Oh. Try it again. There we go. All right, so let's set the start frame. Let's set this like just to a few frames here. Kind of interesting. Let's really go crazy with it. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe too much. So what we're doing here is we're setting the frame. When the frame's equal to start frame, we're running this rest scale, multiplying it by 50. So we're getting this big burst here, like that. So we can kind of shorten, we can kind of shorten this front to back duration here by adjusting these values here. So now this is going to basically happen just over a couple frames. So that's working, but let's see here. Let's see if we can't do something a little bit more interesting here. So we've got it just going based on just going on the frame equals the start frame. But I think what we could do is do something a little bit more interesting like we were before. So let's say let's just do this the whole time. So we'll do a float and we'll do We'll say strut scale again equals fit, and we'll do at frame. We'll do at start frame. And then we'll do at start frame plus duration. And what this is going to do is fit this value between our initial frame and keep it expanded for a certain period after that initial frame, right? So we're fitting it between those two frames, and we're going to tell it what scale to go to. So let's say we'll do, let's just do 1 and 50 for right now. But what we can actually do is a ramp in a second. So let's just do this, and we'll say, we'll just say rest scale. We don't have to do an if statement. We can just do rest scale times equals strut scale, and that should work the same. Or similar. Should expand for 10 frames or whatever, and then come back down. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, I think 50 might be a little too much. Let's try 10 here, just to see something a little more realistic here. I think 50 in a quick burst is fine, but I think if you're going to actually expand it, 10 is a little bit better. So there we are, expanding to 10. It's just not very fast, right? So it's taking start frame and the start frame plus duration and expanding between 0 and 10 there, right? So not super interesting. So let's do maybe 1 to 25. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, it gets really big there. So what we can do is have the duration maybe be a little shorter. Let's do maybe like 5 frames. So it's not so long that it's blowing up for. And then what we can do instead is we can fit this this frame attribute, and we can then use a ramp as well in conjunction with it. So instead of going from 1 to 25, let's instead just kind of normalize this range here between 0 and 1. Right, so now we have this fit that's going to normalize between 0 and 1. Then what we can do here, we can say, instead of strut scale, let's say fit effect, or fit duration, something like that. And then what we can do down here is make another float and say this will be strut scale. And we'll set this equal to ch ramp. So we're going to make a ramp. We're going to put in the fit duration. And oh, wait a second. Did I need to do that second? Yes, we're going to call this expansion ramp. And then we'll say fit duration. So now we should have a little ramp that's going to allow us to kind of set how this is going to work. I did this a little bit in the Joy of X stuff. So this should now expand up and down like that. And then let's also, actually let's call this strut expand. Then we'll make another one here that just says float strut scale. We'll set this equal to, we'll say effect scale, and we'll multiply this by strut expand. And we'll just make another thing here. And this is basically just going to multiply this output, which is going to be a 0 to 1 ramp as well, or a 0 to 1 value. And then we're just going to scale it by whatever effect scale we want to do here, maybe 15, whatever. So we've got all this set up. So let's see what actually happens here. So let's see how this works. So this should, yep, expand back down then. So if we just look at what's happening here, we'll look at it a little bit wider and maybe slow it down a little bit here. We're going to have it go bloop and then suck back down. And instead of it being so fast, let's slow it down a little bit, and then we can actually see maybe a little bit what's going on here, hopefully. So we should see like a little bump that kind of raises up along the bottom of it here. That kind of runs down the length of it, right? And this is being controlled by that ramp that we made. And so what we could do instead is we could have, so here's bloop, that thing kind of go down like that. What we could do instead is we could have this be way wider, and it's going to be bit of a wider expanding time here. It's going to take longer for it to expand and shorter for it to be at its like peak, basically. So there we have that. And what we could then do is, you know, we can keep tweaking this, right? So we could change the scale to be, I don't know, 25, something like that. Let's just move back up here and take a look at this. Oh, there's our tiny little shoe. Got this crazy thing at the bottom of it that's moving around. But hopefully it makes sense that what we're doing here is slightly different than Vex. This is kind of a Vexpression, which is a little bit different. And the way that you write this is you don't actually write it to an at, you write it to one of these parameter names right here. So that's important. So this is rest scale. You can see right there it says parameter rest scale. And that's why we're writing rest scale like this and multiplying it by whatever we're calculating up here. So what we're first doing, just to kind of go back and look at the actual Vex code that's going on here, is we're taking the frame, and when it's between the start frame and the start frame plus duration, we're setting it, kind of normalizing that to 0 to 1. So that's our fit duration. Then we're taking this ramp here, which is visualized down by this ramp at the bottom here, and we're setting this to basically take that 0 to 1 range and give it, you know, allow us to be able to make, you know, effectively, you know, some sort of shape that this is going to take on. Now, just to prove this even maybe a little bit stronger, let's do this, like something like that. And we should see here that we're going to have two shapes that are going to move down this. So just take a look at this here. Doesn't seem right. Hold on a second. Maybe I did something weird here. Oh, maybe the duration's too long. That could very well be it. Maybe it's not long enough. Let's add a little bit of duration there. See what happens. Yep, there you go. You can see that there's now actually two distinct sections that are actually coming up. So what we could actually do is make this even a stronger visual, and we should see now that there's going to be two distinct sections that are expanding. Yep. It's maybe not the cleanest example of it, but hopefully that's visible on some level. Yep, there we go. Now you can sort of see that. So this is going to give us a lot more, flexibility or whatever. But let's just kind of take this and make it work a little bit better. I'm just going to kind of smooth that out a little bit there. In fact, what I should do is instead of it doing a monotone cubic, let's do a B-spline. And what I'll do is I'll have it kind of ramp up real quick here, then ramp up, kind of ramp back down, and that could actually be a more gradual ramp on the way back down. It doesn't have to be quite so quick. So we could do something like that, have it real quickly kind of hit its peak. Something like that there. Select all of those. I can kind of just pop right at the beginning. So now when we do this, you should get a nice big boost right at the beginning there. Probably a little too much scale, so let's bring that down. All right, so let's do this. Let's set this duration to be 20. We're going to set this way shorter to be like 6 to 9. Let's see how this works. All right, let's just up this a little bit, see if we can't get this to really boost it. And let's have this start to come down almost immediately. Kind of stupid, but whatever. It's a quick little animation. We've got some jumping, I guess, going on there. It's nothing. It's leaping up in the air, I guess, right? Oh, it's kind of cool. Landed right back on itself. Oh, that's funny. Did not expect that to happen. Oh, that's kind of fun. We got a flip going on there. That's kind of cool. Was not expecting that. All right. Well, the heck. Let's call it good. Do a little cache here. Save that to disk. That should be good. Cool. All right. So let's do this. Will this work? You know what? What I can just do is just do a couple of point deforms here and just call it good. All right, let's do point deform. That should be fine because I want these to be soft. So let's grab this. Deform point lattice. We'll do a time shift. I have one that just does hold first frame. So that should be good. I'll just kind of put this around here. And let's grab this and put it into there. Nope. Nope. That's not what I wanted. This up here is actually what I wanted. That's the original soul that we had. Let's just see if this works. Hopefully it will. Yeah. Let's do that. Just change the radius a little bit so it kind of puffs up real big. Then we get that. Cool. And then we can also do this. I'm sure there's a cleaner way of doing this, but I'm not overly worried about it. Oh, that's right. I'm going to split this off by the geometry. So this, we're going to use the soul. Drop that in there. That in there. Cool. And then this one is going to take the other side. And we're going to put that up there. And that there. This will not be going to that. And instead, we'll have this coming down here. Just going to sort of clean this up a little so it goes around a little less awkwardly. That should be the rest of the shoe. Let's see how that works. And this should be just that part. Cool. Then if we select both of these, merge them together, let's take a look at this, see if this worked sort of how we were hoping at least. Let's see. It's a little jiggly for a shoe, but that's okay. And there we go. We got a little leap from a simulation. And that's kind of fun. I mean, whatever. It's ridiculous, but it's something I guess you can sort of see and understand what's going on, hopefully there. And it's a way that you can, it's as silly of an example maybe as this is, hopefully there's something that you could take from this, right? Where you could, inflate parts of your geometry using something like this, right? And you could certainly, animate a proxy kind of simulated piece, right? Because we're not actually simulating all these individual parts and pieces here, right? We're just simulating, parts of the shoe. And granted, it's kind of coming away from it and stuff like that. Fine. We could maybe change the radius of this a little bit here to, match it closer. However we want to do that, maybe that's a little bit closer. We could actually do a piece attribute here as well. Interesting. Could we do that? Do we have one? Let me think. Sorry, let me just think for a second here. I don't know if we have a name attribute for those, but let's see. No, we don't have a name attribute, but what we could do, which is interesting, we could... Yep, okay, we could do this all in one instead of doing it in two, because we could do a piece attribute here. So let's do that instead. Let's be a little smarter here. Let's get rid of that. Let's do a name. Oh, we could do name from group. No. That we can't do. All right, so let's first grab soul. We'll just call this soul. Shoe pieces. We'll say shoe pieces like so. So now we should have two named attributes here. Soul, shoe pieces. Great. Name, perfect. Let's look here, see if we can get a piece attribute. And then what we could do up here as well is just name these. So what I'll do is merge these together, but I'm going to name them first. This is really messy, but it's going to work, so it's okay. So we'll just call this one soul, and this one we will name shoe pieces. Then when we come down here, or actually over here, we can just do this and this. Merge those together like so. Yeah, we actually don't need to have that come all the way over there. We could just have it come across like this. Great. And we can get rid of this stuff down here. Now we don't need to merge it back in. That's great. I should have named it originally, but hey, hindsight. Should have had hindsight. That's an Office reference if you didn't get it, but whatever. Cool. All right. Now we've got these. I should have done that way better, but whatever. It's working. So here we have our piece attribute. That's going to look at these separate pieces and animate it accordingly. So we just have one mesh that's going to, or one point to form node that's going to run all of that stuff. So there we have it. Oh, hey, sorry, I missed your message there. I just looked over and saw it. I'm not sure if that's clapping or waving, but I'll take clapping, I guess. I don't know. It's a pretty stupid animation, but it's something. So yeah, we got a leaping shoe. That's all I could think of for tonight. But Yeah, so hopefully, again, like I said, you could think about how you could simulate these different named pieces, probably name them before and not have to do that post like I did, like a dummy. But it's going to be a much better kind of way of working, and you don't have to actually then simulate your geometry itself. You can then do there's these proxy geometries that are going to work a lot better for running through simulations and things like that. So this isn't the cleanest thing in the world. I could certainly make this simulation look a lot better. Something I was thinking that could be neat too would be to break this actually up into many little tiny pieces that would all like individually inflate and kind of propel it up in the air. That might be a little easier to do with some of the other tool sets and things, or the other parts of the vellum. The way that it would work, you would have each individual piece inflate one at a time instead of being this huge like balloon kind of thing that's inflating. But hey, this is what I came up with in an hour and a half, 2 hours, so I can't be too picky. But anyways, I guess that's probably where we'll end it for tonight. That's my little Mardini animation entry. It's nothing too great and it's a little jittery, but hopefully you at least enjoyed seeing what you could do in a couple hours with some vellum simulation and a random piece of geometry like a shoe. Next week, I will not be streaming because I will be, like I said, at GDC in San Francisco. If you happen to be going to that, feel free to connect with me through the Discord and we could, meet up, say hi, whatever. I'll probably be by the Side Effects booth most of the time. Or by the Hive location that's there. See our website for more information about that. If you're looking to connect with me, that's the link to the website, and there's a Discord invite on there as well. And once GDC is done, I'm planning on doing some a bit more structured stuff. That was just, I just came back from vacation and now I have more travel, so wasn't going to do too much here, but thinking about in the not too distant future doing some more basic introductory vellum stuff, kind of set up a whole series of kind of walkthroughs of different things, and obviously have some flexibility to be able to answer your questions and things like that as well. But I know that some people were interested in some entry level vellum stuff. I was also thinking of going through some of the mops tool set. I talked to Henry, who does all of that, and was talking to him a little bit about what he could see. I was trying to come up with some stuff for this year and what would he see as something for that. So that's also something that's going to be kind of on my mind going forward, to maybe do a series on mops. Seems like kind of a little bit more structured series is good. It's also a little more time consuming for me, so I'm going to have to try to find a good balance there. But that's kind of what's coming ahead next week. I won't be around, so there will be no stream. If you're looking for the schedule for when I'm going to be streaming, you can go to the website as well, and that should have a schedule there. And another thing that I'm going to do is I'm planning to have a guest on the stream real soon. I've been talking to Christopher Rutledge. I believe that's how you say his last name. I'm sure he can correct me if I butchered it. But I'm going to have him on one of these times. He's a really cool guy because he's got this really interesting, wacky kind of style, I think. Like, I don't know how else to, it's just weird. I don't want to make it sound like he's it's not good stuff. It's really interesting, but he just kind of takes everything into this really bizarre kind of aesthetic. And I think it's really cool. And I think what we're going to do is have him come on and talk a little bit about some of his, how he does some of his character work. Because that's mainly what he's doing, is kind of manipulating and abusing kin effects. So we're going to talk to him, about some of that stuff. And have him maybe show a little bit about his process and kind of go through that, and have him live on the stream in a couple weeks as well. So I think that should be really cool. I'll announce a little bit more about that coming up. But For now, that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you guys for joining me. Sorry if this was a little more me pondering things than maybe any actual tips, but maybe you got something out of it. Hopefully, I got through and made some sort of a decent example for you and came up with something semi-interesting. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining, and I will see you in a couple weeks. Thanks a lot. Bye.